Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Be Well Led, a series of conversations with leaders, founders, entrepreneurs, all leaders who lead with well-being as core value. So today is our official first episode, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Mona Buechi, not only a longtime friend, but also an advisor to Conscious Working. And after this episode, you'll understand exactly why she's so valuable to our business and to so many others out there who benefit from her mentorship and coaching. So before we get started, I wanted to share with you all her bio because it's commendable. So Dr. Mona Salih, as you're officially known, Mona, is a qualified medical doctor and life coach with a focus on mental health, self-care, and relationships. Mona believes in treating patients holistically and has always been interested in the mind-body connection and the role of the psyche in the manifestation, progression, and resolution of diseases. Among Mona's clients are executives, members of corporate talent programs, functional leaders, and other high performers. She helps them break through barriers, overcome limiting beliefs, and unlock their full potential. Born in Sudan and raised in England from the age of 2, Mona graduated from Imperial College London. With extensive experience working in hospitals and surgeries in both London and in Switzerland, Mona knows what it means to perform in high-pressure environments. As a mother of 2, she's also aware of the challenges of combining career and family. And on top of this, Mona speaks English, Arabic, and German. I mean, I'm in awe every time I read about you, Mona. So to get started, I'd love to know, how did you get to where you are now? Can you give us a bit of your story?
Well, thank you, Gret. I'm really happy to be here today. Yeah, I'll tell you a bit about my story. I'll try not to go on too long. So I'm British Sudanese, and I'm a medical doctor and a life coach. And I live in Zurich with my 2 daughters and my husband. And my family moved to England when I was only 2 years old due to medical reasons. My mother gave birth to Siamese twins that were conjoined at the hip. And this was a big shock to the family. And it was thanks to the King of Saudi Arabia, who sponsored my little brother's treatments, that we were able to go to England. They were separated and they needed ongoing treatment, and that's what led to the family being relocated there permanently. They're only 2 years younger than me, so I spent a lot of time in hospitals, which is why I got interested in medicine, especially pediatrics. I spent a lot of time at Great Ormond Street Hospital. And so I went to Imperial College in London, and I worked in England for quite a while. And then I met my husband and I got relocated to Zurich. I learned German and I started working in Switzerland as well. And one institution in particular, which had a big focus on the mind-body connection, homeopathic treatments. So I've always been really interested in the way managing patients from a holistic point of view. And the other great passion of mine was always personal growth and self-development. My first taste of this was when I was 18. I was doing a summer job working in the bank, and then I saw an advertisement for a free book from Anthony Robbins. And I got that book for free. It was my first self-help book, and I loved it. And then that led to me going to one of his seminars, and my life changed at the age of 18. Couldn't get enough of it. So I was doing development on that side as well as my medical training, and I found ways to combine it. One day I just decided, you know what, my real passion is working with people in achieving their goals and supporting them from that angle. So I decided to follow that full term, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made, because now my hobby is my job.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think we're raised sort of thinking your hobbies are one thing, but you work and do something else. But actually, and Tony Robbins, what a great person to learn from, is probably the first to say you can do what you love and make money doing it.
Absolutely. And I think my background as a doctor and also knowing what it's like to work in high pressure environments makes me really well suited for supporting people who from these backgrounds, because I know what it's like to work at, in very stressful environments. and the importance of self-care in particular. And that's what my focus is: self-care and relationships, primarily the relationship with oneself.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it all starts. Before we get into that, but in addition to having your career, you also are, as you said, you're happily married, and you have two small children, two little girls who are gorgeous.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time? But also, I was thinking about, it's not just time management, it's energy management when you have multiple things going on. So what are your practices?
I think as a woman, there's always this question, can women have it all? And my answer for this is yes, but not at the same time. And there's an element of having to prioritize different things at different times. And one of the things I'm most grateful for is I have a very supportive husband who understands me very well and knows how important it is for me to balance my life. Luckily, he's also self-employed, so he has an element of flexibility. But of course, that doesn't mean the children are flexible. They're confined to their routines and their school times, and also my clients. But something that has always saved me is my morning routine. And I know that's something that's important to you as well. And I would recommend it for anyone. There's a whole movement of this whole 5 a.m. club. I've been a member of the 5 a.m. club for nearly 2 years now. And I would prioritize that over sleep if I had to, because it gives me that alone time to focus, to reflect, and then I have so much more energy for everybody, and that's something that really helps me a lot. Yeah, so that's how I manage my time. I steal morning time.
Yeah. Actually, you introduced me to the 5 a.m. club. I read it right away, and ever
really?
since then I've been I've been getting up early and earlier. I'm not at 5 a.m. I'm at 5:45, but it is awesome. Just like you. It's the only time it's quiet. So,
absolutely, and it just gives you an edge. And when you're just up at that time of the morning, you just feel like you own the day. And even if you can't get up for 2 hours before your day starts, which is what I do, just half an hour before your routine begins will just give you more of a sense of control, I find.
So what are the practices in your early morning rise? What are those non-negotiables that you have to sneak in?
Okay, so I'm always finding that I'm kind of adjusting my routine, and I would like to get inspiration. So from your Instagram, she reads a daily Stoic. I'll get that. But something that I will always do is write. And for me, I've been doing the morning pages for years. And this is the first thing I do. I just get out some A4 paper and I just write out all of that noise that's in my head. And then once it's just out there, I just feel lighter. And it's a stream of consciousness. You don't reread it. It's just out there. And because for me, writing is a big part of my self-expression. And the next thing I do if I have time is meditate. That varies, whether it's 10 minutes with a timer or following a guided meditation, just some kind of focus. And then I do affirmations, which I think are really helpful. Yeah.
Do you come up with your own affirmations? Do you sort of follow a book or follow someone to get them from?
Yeah. I think it's really helpful if you come up with your own affirmations, and I have my own ones. And I've even recorded them, and then I listen to my own voice. Yeah.
I like that.
So, yeah. And then if I have time and it's pushing it, then I try to do some stretching. But I often find that it's easier to incorporate exercise throughout the day.
Yeah.
But the morning routine has to be something that shouldn't be disturbed. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm totally with you. My morning routine is it's not even routine anymore. It's just rituals that I need to do to sort of set me up for a day of success. And sometimes I feel better than other mornings. Like this morning I woke up and I was exhausting. It really, even doing my sort of whole thing, by the way, I have a totally different set of little
Yeah.
practices. And that's the great
Yeah.
thing. Like you do what works for you and then they evolve a little bit. But this morning I was
Absolutely.
so tired. And actually it took until a certain point that all of a sudden I could feel the energy shift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And it's about listening to your needs, because sometimes it's really kind to just stay in bed if you need some extra sleep.
yeah.
But very quickly, I really encourage people to try it, because once you start seeing the benefits, it becomes so addictive, because
Yeah.
you start to notice the difference.
That sort of brings up that point of, okay, how would you get someone to start? So you have a client that comes in and your focus is on self-care and relationships. What advice would you give to someone that's struggling right now with, work, with life, with that whole integration of work and life together?
Yeah. I like how you say that, integrating work and life, because for the longest time people have been having this focus on balance, and balance is a bit elusive. I mean, can you really have balance? Yeah. Especially if you're coming from a high functioning environment, you have to kind of respond to your phone and whatnot. If with my clients that come to me and they're striving for just some more time for themselves, we often just take out a blank piece of paper and we look at all the different areas of their life, and we grade each category a mark out of 10. So if you can imagine a grid, like a 9-box grid, and then you label each of these grids depending on the category. So for example, career, money, relationships, health, hobbies, and whatnot. And then you label it, you give it a mark out of 10. And then you can focus on the areas that have got a lower score, and then we can think of ways that we can get that mark higher. But this is something I do regularly. I do this grid regularly, and what you see is that it's never actually ever you're never going to see 10 out of 10 across the board. It's impossible. But it's about just being kind to yourself and knowing that it's about hyper-focusing. And in terms of just finding that time for yourself every single day where you are giving something to yourself, because that's going to benefit all the areas of your life. So the morning is possibly the best way, because that's something that you can kind of maintain, especially if you're not a night shift worker. This was a lot more challenging for me when I was working in hospitals. I think the majority of people can find time in the morning. And then it's just about, so when I get clients that come to me, we always just start with something small. Anyone can find 3 minutes to do a time meditation, or just repeating affirmations as soon as you get up or before bed. Anyone can find 5 minutes to do some stretching. It doesn't have to be a full yoga routine. Yeah. So it's just starting small and then gradually building up. And it's always a question of just trial and error. Everyone is different, and it's about respecting what works for you and keeping what works for you and letting go of what doesn't.
Yeah. I love how you put that, and it's so true. When I teach yoga and I lead meditations, I always, for beginners, I always recommend just start small. There's no point to think you should meditate for 20 minutes for the first time. No. I mean, when I first started meditating, 5 minutes felt like forever. So like not even 5 minutes, like start with 1 minute. See if you can sit still for 1 minute and just feel your breath in your body.
Absolutely.
And then you build from there.
Yeah. And that's where the iPhone is your friend, because you can just set the timer for 2 minutes and then you just follow your breath and just keep coming back to the present moment, keep coming back to the present moment. And then when the timer goes off, well done, move on. And with time, you'll find that you're just extending those periods.
So have you seen, since the pandemic, have you seen an impact on your clients, and in particular like the business leaders or the workforce that you have as clients? Have you seen a big impact on their well-being? Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So I think the pandemic has affected everyone in the sense of just increased anxiety. If we look at how that affects people in the workplace, it affects their productivity, their concentration, their work ethic. With some clients, I've noticed that there's a sense of relief that they haven't lost their job. So they overcompensate by overworking, in the sense of just boundaries that are being crossed. Previously, you could go to work and that would be your workspace. But now, since people are working at home, that boundary has kind of disappeared. Yeah, and that can be really challenging for a lot of people. And from the point of view of leaders, I see how energy depleted they are. And this extra responsibility to be responsible for other people's well-being as well as their own, I think that's been the main thing, just increased anxiety.
And so with that impact on mental health, what are some of the suggestions or the advice that you give to your clients? Is it the same with like reviewing the 9-box and then seeing where they can make little shifts? Or was there one thing in particular that you felt like was the go-to?
Well, I would say, being a self-care and relationship coach, for me, it all comes down back to self-care. And self-care can be divided into different types. There's mental self-care, spiritual, social, physical. And self-care is about really protecting your own mental well-being and finding rituals, practices that can relieve pressure, relieve stress. And in the past, it was perhaps seen as a luxury, but it's really not. It's really necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I think leaders have to lead by example. What does self-care look like in the workplace? It's about having the courage to ask for help, asking help as a strength, not a weakness, being able to delegate, having the courage to look at your job description and asking, is this going beyond the scope of what I'm supposed to be doing? Yeah, making that time to go out into nature, taking walks, obviously, if you're allowed to, depending on where you are. And where I come in, it's about people having the confidence to have those conversations with other people, for creating those boundaries where they can really perform at their best.
Yeah, it's so interesting because all the clients that I've spoken to, I mean, the main issues that the pandemic has created, well, on one side, people and some workers are happy that they can work from home. They don't have to have that long commute, but there's also these challenges, lack of connection, difficulty collaborating between teams. And even for high-performing teams that were working together, they're still struggling. They still have their own issues because they're not connected in an office setting.
Yes.
And if you have a leader that, depending on the leadership skills, are they open? Are you allowed as an employee to actually manage up in a way? And
absolutely,
having those conversations. I know for me, it was always really challenging for me to manage up.
Absolutely.
And I would have really valued your support and understanding how to present certain things, because it was just, I think with us, it was just get on and do your job. And if you do your job, then you'll be recognized and then you'll be promoted. Whereas that's not really the case anymore.
Yeah. And it all comes down to communication. Yeah, knowing how to have those conversations. And I think what you said about the home office, in the beginning, there was a kind of appeal. And I think the novelty wears off after a while. And with some of my clients, they just feel like their boundaries are just being crossed. And then the result is a lot of anxiety. And then ultimately it's going to affect the company because it leads to burnout. Burnout is not uncommon, unfortunately. And I think overall, people have been coping really well and adapting really well with the online tools that are available. But there has been a big impact in the way that people communicated previously. In the past, you would meet someone at the water cooler and have an informal chat. I think a lot of creative spontaneity has been lost because of these informal gatherings that used to happen and take place.
Is there something that you could advise, or suggestion you could give to people about how to help embrace that despite the conditions we're working in?
Definitely. I think it's really important when you have meetings to start off by just having some general chit chat, just as you would do back in the day. It's not normal to just go straight into a bombardment of questions. Just some general chatting before meetings begin. I think it's really important to have the video function on so you can see people, so you can connect. I know that some companies have something called conversation cafes. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
Where they get psychologists to lead discussions, and people can just drop in, and for example, a topic could be well-being. What does it mean to you? And so people can take part in these. I think that would be a good idea. The isolation is a big side effect of this pandemic. And if you can feel that you can relate to your workmates on a more intimate level in some way, it's going to definitely produce better work. You'll be happier in your work environment. I think leaders have got a big responsibility to look out for those mental health flags so they can support their employees. One-to-one chats with staff members, and not just taking "I'm fine" for face value. Of course, that's what people are going to say immediately, but it's about looking for other clues. Is this person withdrawing? Just generally looking at non-verbal cues. It's about being authentic and genuinely caring. At the same time, taking care of your own well-being, because everyone is responsible for their own well-being. So I think it's about looking out for each other, and this time more than anything, it's really important.
Yeah, more important to be a bit more compassionate to oneself. Definitely. And then to those that you're working with and those that you're living with. Yeah, and I
think we have to give ourselves a break. I am an ambitious person, and I know that there are a lot of people that want to achieve a lot, but we are living in really difficult times. And I think it's very easy when you're isolated to just focus on what you haven't achieved and what hasn't been done. But we need to really give ourselves credit for everything that we've survived so far. We're living through history.
So true. We all deserve a bit of a pat on the back.
Definitely. Acknowledge yourself.
So I'd love to know what's your mission for this year, for 2021?
Like I said, I'm super ambitious, and now I'm following my passion. I feel like the sky is the limit. And in saying that, my mission is really to provide a big difference for my coachees. I'm so dedicated to them, and I feel like if I do that with full integrity, the way they deserve, that everything will just fall into place, will just build up naturally. Being a mother is possibly the most important thing in my life, and a wife to my darling husband. But and I think what I love about my job is I get to help people live fulfilling lives. And as part of that, it's my duty that I live a fulfilling life. And I just think it's wonderful that that's part of my job, that I get to take care of myself. And I was like, it's part of my job.
I love that. Your voice, I could just hear the joy in your voice, marrying your passions with your career. And you're so right. You can't give unless you're fulfilled as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mona. Okay, are you ready? We're going to do a quick fire round of some questions.
Okay.
So
I always wanted to do this.
Don't give too much thought to this. I'm going to say a question and you just give an answer. We don't have that many. Okay, ready? Well-being in one word.
Time to reflect.
3 words, that's okay. Morning workout or morning lie-in?
Morning workout.
Yoga or meditation? Ooh.
Meditation.
Walk in nature or connect with friends?
Walk in nature.
What ritual?
While connecting with friends.
Okay. I love it. Double dose. What ritual can't you live without?
Writing.
Always 8 hours sleep or dreaming of the day to come?
Dreaming of the day to come.
What book should everyone read at least once?
The Power of Now by
Yes.
Eckhart.
Good answer. What nourishes your soul?
My children.
Oh, that's the perfect spot to end. That was amazing. Good job. Good answers. Good answers. Thank you so much, Mona. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'm so pleased that you're part of Conscious Working and one of our advisors. And for everyone else out there, can you just let them know how they can find you?
You can go onto my website, which is www.monasalih.com. You can find me on Instagram at Mona Salih Coaching.
Perfect.
Or you can go onto Gret's website.
That's true. Find it online. Go on to consciousworking.co. Thank you so much, Mona. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, be here and be well.